Welcome everybody to my Logan speed draw and movie review in Affinity. Here's the final design. This is how it came out in the end. And I'm going to talk a little bit. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about setting this up and kind of just drawing in Affinity. And then we're going to get into the movie review. Because if you've been following me and you've been, following my channel, man, I'm a huge comic book fan. And I love it, man. This movie I've been waiting for a while. I'm not a super huge fan of what Fox has been doing with the X-Men series, but post Deadpool world, I'm like, man, they're gonna do a good job with this. And let me explain what's going on here, and then we'll get into the movie. So basically, I'm in Affinity Designer, created a pixel layer, and I'm in the pixel persona. I'm pretty much staying in the pixel persona the whole time throughout this. Very little vector gets put back into this. So basically what I'm doing now is, it's called value painting. So when I was drawing, back on pencil and paper, and then I kind of started getting into more digital drawing, it's hard to like sketch in the computer because I shouldn't say it's hard to sketch. If you can draw the same way you can in the computer, but I felt like this style of drawing, kind of like doing value painting, where you're just putting blobs of different grays on the paper and kind of like fleshing stuff out. Like I didn't feel like I don't think I could have really done this on paper as well as now as in the digital days. So I'm going to let this kind of play out for a second. And when key things happen, I'll pop back in. But, basically, this is, you can do this in pretty much any application. And I will say this real quick, just to answer some questions. There's a lot of videos like this for Photoshop, and I figured, I should do one with Affinity to kind of show that, you can do these same things with Affinity. And I will say Photoshop, their brushes are a little smoother. I do feel like, if I were to do this in Photoshop, I could have had just a little bit smoother. It feels like Photoshop has more levels of pressure, so I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But I will say this, man, Affinity's only in one. We're in Affinity 1.5 here, and they're already teasing 1.6. And, there's a lot of cool stuff coming for Affinity. So I'm going to keep doing it in Affinity. I'm not really going to go back to Photoshop for these kind of drawings. But if you're in Photoshop now and you jump to this, you might notice a little bit difference. So, all right, man, let's get into the movie review here, because I was psyched about this movie. So, Fox, there's the good Marvel movies and there's the Fox Marvel movies. So, Iron Man, for such a long time, when the first X-Men movie came out, even for its time, I just wasn't really liking it because it wasn't awful, but it was like, man, they're just not giving me what I want. They're not putting Wolverine in his outfit. They're not, he's not ultra violent. He's, the story was watered down. They're not giving me the Sentinels. They're not, like, there's just so many things that they were not giving me with the original X-Men movie. And I didn't even see half the Wolverine movies. They were all just, there was issues with them. So after Deadpool, when Fox, woke up and was like, oh, wow, people want to see R-rated superhero movies. And they had said they're going to do a movie based on the Old Man Logan series, which was, I definitely liked that. That was a really good series. It had a weird ending. So no spoilers. I'm not going to give any movie spoilers. Other than go see it like right now, man. It's good. I'm not even going to make you wait till the end for a star rating or a thumbs up. It was 2 thumbs up. It was awesome. If you don't like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or the previous X-Men stuff, you will probably still like this. I think it's It's awesome. Like, just go see it. So I'm not really going to spoiler that, but I'm going to spoil the comic book a little bit because we're going to kind of talk about what the original Old Man Logan comic was and, what kind of stayed the same. And it's not a lot. It's like barely anything. But if you want to read the comic, then pause it here because I'm going to spoil a lot of things in the comic. Not a lot of them cross over to the movie, though. So, in the comic, it's Old Man Logan. He's barely, able to, he's still Wolverine, but he's not, he's broken the whole evil, all the villains pretty much take over the world. And, the way that they were able to do it is, basically, in the Marvel universe, there's two superheroes that, you really just can't kill. And, Wolverine's one of them. And the Hulk the Hulk and Wolverine are probably the strongest Marvel superheroes. Thor's up there too, but, they're the strongest. So what they end up doing in the comic is, if you're familiar with Mysterio, who is a Spider-Man villain, they actually have Mysterio make Wolverine think that he's fighting all of his old arch villains. And then really he's fighting the X-Men. He ends up killing all of the X-Men. And, the villains pretty much take over. And the Hulk ends up being a bad guy anyway. So that's how they kind of deal with the Hulk. So this takes place way, way after, the world's been changed and everything. And basically the whole Old Man Logan comic book series is Hawkeye and Wolverine traveling across country, because Hawkeye's got to make this delivery that he doesn't say what it is until the end and everything. And, oh man, there's just crazy shit that happens, throughout that. We're talking, at one point, a Tyrannosaurus Rex that gets the Venom symbiote on it is chasing him down. And I mean, it's an awesome story. Now, the comic book does end with a weird, a lot of people, I didn't like the ending of the comic book. It's just weird. It had Bruce Banner with Hulk power, but not being the Hulk. And then when he turns into the Hulk, he doesn't even look like the Hulk. The whole ending's weird, man. It's like they made the Hulk some hillbilly with all these hillbilly kids and stuff. It's really weird. And, up to the end, the comic book's up to the end. It's a good comic, but the movie, oh my gosh, man, they did such a good job. So basically, no spoilers, but compared to the comic, what stays true to it is, X-23 is kind of Hawkeye. It's basically Logan and X-23 traveling across the country and, trying to get to their final destination and everything. And I gotta tell you, man, it just plays out so good because, in the original X-Men movies, when they show Wolverine in that first movie, and he just goes up to that guy on the fridge and just pops his claws, but, you're not really seeing anything graphic or anything. And you're like, yeah, man, that's awesome. And then, that's kind of it. They don't really go into anything for the rest of it. But, oh, man, I mean, this movie, the fight scenes, I mean, you've seen the trailer, I'm sure, which is a badass scene, which is even more badass in the movie. But I mean, it's not just there's this awesome scene where Wolverine chops this guy's arm off or his head off or whatever. The whole thing is just awesome fight scene on awesome fight scene. And the best part about it is how the dynamic between Wolverine and X-23, because Wolverine, he's Old Man Logan now. He can't fight like he used to, and he still has his healing factor and he's got all his powers, but they don't work as good as they used to, and it takes him a long time to heal, and he's a beat down old superhero, similar to kind of how you see a lot of the wrestlers nowadays. They're just the tolls have taken on him. And the dynamic with X-23, who is super powerful, and, she is lacking the focus, like she's a kid, so you don't really have the perfect superhero. Both sides have flaws, and like the dynamic that you get through that, it's just awesome. And then you layer on Professor X on top of it, which is just so cool, like how they use him. And, it's just, it's such a good movie. I'm so glad that the Fox, comic side of things, I see good things coming, man. They do there's a preview for the new Deadpool movie in it that is just hilarious. And, man, dude, I can't say enough good things about this movie. If you're a Wolverine fan, I really think you're going to like it, but it's not, it's based on the Old Man Logan comic. It's not Wolverine. So, don't expect the X-Men Wolverine, but man, I'm going to go see it again, man. I mean, it was really, really good. Now, I'm not like, previous to this movie, it was like Hugh Jackman ain't my Wolverine, but, man, it's awesome. So let's get back into, what's going on here for a little bit with the, speed drawing. And, if anything pops back into my mind about the movie, we'll bounce back and forth a little bit. So here, what's going on is, now I'm putting a little texture into it. So basically you want to start out with, you don't really need any special brushes or anything. I know I watch a lot of stuff on the Photoshop speed drawing stuff, and, really not a lot of people think brushes are like the big key to everything, and they definitely help. But for the most part, I was just using the standard, circle brush for a lot of this. And you want to make sure you're varying your opacities throughout this while you're doing it. And, your brush sizes and everything. And once it starts taking a little bit of shape here, that's when you want to kind of go in with some textures and stuff. And especially with him, just to get that old, like, skin texture. So now I'm kind of painting with a textured brush a little bit, but still nothing special. It could be kind of any texture brush. It wasn't like, I can't do this without this brush or anything. So I'm almost positive the whole time I'm in the just assorted brushes on the pixel side. Now I am using a Wacom tablet. I use AstroPad. It's like a thing that you can like see the screen on your iPad and draw with the Apple Pencil at the same time. Really cool. Highly recommend it if you do drawings, and it basically turns your iPad into a Cintiq. Works really great. So, and that's kind of what's going on here. You just got to keep going in and refining. I will say this is one of my first like kind of portrait pieces like this that I've done on a computer in a while. And, I don't think it's as strong as it could be, but I definitely could have kept spending more time in it. But I definitely think this shows how to do this type of stuff in Affinity. And, it's just kind of, the better the artist, the better the thing's going to be. And I do plan on doing more of these. Let me know what you're thinking about this in the comments, because, I'm trying to do different things with my channel. And I did a speed drawing before, after the Doctor Strange movie. I did one, and it seems to be doing all right, and getting good thumbs up and everything. And I figured this might be kind of a cool series to do like speed drawings, but then at the same time talk about the movies and everything. So this is the first test run of that. So definitely let me know what you think. Getting back into the drawing, eyes were on a separate level. Other than that, my workflow is basically this. Like, you start drawing on a pixel layer. Once you get something where you're like cool with it, and you don't think there's going to be too many more changes or something, you make a second layer and keep painting over that. After about, after about 15 minutes or so, or till you like kind of get what you were trying to do done, take a look at it. And if it looks good, merge it down and then make a new layer on top of that. So at any given point, you should really only have like 2 layers going. The eyes, I always kind of keep on a separate layer until like, I think now finally I'm bouncing them down, and merging them in. And also, there's no merge command in Affinity Designer. What you have to do is you have to group the layers and then rasterize them. So you group them and you right click on the layers and rasterize. So the hands are above. Those are on a separate layer because they're they're always going to be above everything. Other than that, even though it looks like you might want to use a lot of layers, you really want to keep bouncing things down, because if you get to a point where it's just not working, then it's just not going to work and you're going to have to restart anyway. So, that's my recommendation, is kind of keep low layers. And I always do, not always, but for right now, I am in the future, we'll do ones where we start in color. But especially if you're new to this, and even if you're new to like Affinity and stuff, and you're just, getting into value painting, definitely start black and white. And that way you just got the values, you're just doing highlights. You're just doing low tones. You're not, you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. And then the color, we're going to pop in here in a second. Now, we could go over with more color, and I really could make this pop, but I think it's good for this video. And like I said, this is a test run to kind of, see if this speed drawing / movie review concept idea works. But yeah, let me know what you think. And I guess, and here we are with the blood brushes. Also, I got to mention, if my website is vectorart.club. I did some free blood brushes that you can download. And also, there's like a pro pack you can like buy for cheap. So here we're just laying in some basic colors, and you could go in. I mean, I can keep going in and keep popping this, but this is the basic, this is kind of the 101 way to do this, especially if you're learning, because, getting skin tones right and laying them in all at once is a lot harder than it looks. So now I'm just kind of putting some highlights in. So, okay, so this is pretty much wrapping up. We're getting really close to the end here. So basically, all I want to say is, definitely go see the Logan movie. It's so good. Like, Fox is finally learning how to do movies. Deadpool 2 coming out. Looks amazing. Like the little thing that they show you in the beginning before the Wolverine movie plays is so funny. I can't wait. One last thing, if you do go see the movie, don't bother waiting around past the credits. There is nothing. I waited forever, and the lights in the theater just came back on. So that was a little disappointing. But also at the same time, I knew, or I had a good feeling that they weren't going to actually lead in with a part 2 or anything on this, because Hugh Jackman said this would be his last one. So, and let me tell you, man, he went out very good. Such a great performance on everybody's part. Just such a great movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.